I don't know, I guess the e-portfolios have been nice to see people thinking about some of the same things that I've been thinking about, and kind of, you know, the opportunities that I've had to have conversations like this with other students as people really struggle to figure out the meaning of it all and like what role we play as public health professionals. It's really hard, and you know, kind of everyone has to like come to their own definition and idea of what it means for them.
Keep reflections, like hold myself to keeping reflections, so that when I come out of this program, I'm not like, what did I learn again? In order to help me both and like preparing myself for job interviews, when people ask, like, what have you learned? I need to make myself do it, or have my teachers require it.
As far as the reflections go, I think, I remember talking to Meredith about this, that I felt like it took me a day or two to actually process a class sometimes, and throughout class I would be, you know, jotting down some handwritten notes, but in order to actually, you know, sit down and write my reflection, I had to take some extra time, and that was a little bit challenging for this class because it was so fast-paced and we were covering so much ground that I felt like I was playing catch-up. But looking back, I think the extra time served me well, and that as we got into the second and third week of class, the puzzle pieces started to fit together, and so I was able to pull out those themes that we talked about, some of those probing questions around leadership.
I put some reflections on my leadership, which helped me a lot to think about myself and also what I want to do here in the US, or so kind of make it clear about my goal.
Respond quickly to like the self-discipline piece, because I think that keeping an e-portfolio and keeping it up to date is a challenge at times, and there are competing priorities. And I do think there's a huge amount of value in looking at other people's e-portfolios, and I think there could be some ways to integrate it into class time. Like I know Joan had a few exercises, or Katie or Wolfie had asked us questions, you know, at the beginning of class, and you kind of thought about it, and then you spoke with a partner or something. I think there are ways that we can integrate e-portfolios into that. So maybe at the first 5 or 10 minutes of class, you know, the person that you're sitting next to, I'm going to review Hiroki's e-portfolio, and then we can have a conversation about what's on it, and that way it really ties into the classwork. That's just one idea.
But I've actually taken the e-portfolio one step further, and that's actually something that I want to kind of elaborate on, because I think it'll help me more, I guess, professionally. So this is one that I created and have actually posted on my resume, so that people, if they by chance happen to look at it on an email, they can click here, and it actually dives a little bit into more of who I am as a person and what I've done, as opposed to just reading a resume and understanding and trying to get a sense of who I am from there.
It's a good tool, I mean, there is no doubt, but I really need to take a step back and think, how can I use in the circumstances I want to? Like, for example, I was thinking, how and where can I use? I would really like to use for professional reasons when I work back home or wherever, like when I have a lot of stakeholders, to keep update with them, they can also like share things. The point where I like it as having really a utility is like the group e-portfolios and like sharing it with the Pakistan team. That was the part I really found it helpful and meaningful.
I'm really thankful that this was my first class, and to have this tool as like, you know, right off the bat, now this is something that I'm planning on integrating throughout my MPH program, even if it's just, you know, like a weekly reflection on the different classes and how they fit together. So.
Yeah. So people were debating: is it better to do your master's before you have grassroots or after? And it was like, well, if you do it before, you come in with the philosophical view, and if you do it after, then you come and you do the philosophical side after. But really, in an ideal world, you could incorporate that realism with the philosophical, but people don't, because they're so absorbed in writing papers and they're so absorbed in studying for tests that that blog that they kept on the ground suddenly gets lost. And I think that this is probably the most profound point I've heard about the e-portfolio, is that you really can bring those together and have it be powerful and motivational for you, and practical too, so you can continue to put that grassroots experience into the philosophical theoretical experience and make them mesh for your own philosophy. I think that's excellent, Haruki, that you brought it together that way.